This was a surprise. After you return from the bogs, we discovered this man attacking the building with a goat. Chief Movran the Under. He feels slighted by the killing of his Avar tribesmen, who repeatedly attacked you first. What should we do with him? Where should he go? You answered the death of your clan with a goat?
A courtroom? Unnecessary. You killed my idiot son, and I answered, as is my custom, by smacking your holdings with goat's blood.
Don't look at me.
No foul. You meant to murder Tevinters, but got feisty with your inquisition. A red-headed mother guarantees a brat. Do as you've earned, Inquisitor. My clan yields. My remaining boys have brains still in their heads.
Oh, I don't know. He could go in that... what's it called? A gibbet? Chief Movran, you'll be placed in a gibbet to serve as an example to... someone. Then probably released.
Gibbet? Gibbet? Gibbet?
Knight Captain Denham, Inquisitor. He awaits judgment for serving the Lord Seeker at Therenfall Redoubt. I knew some of the knights who died there. I asked to oversee his sentencing. Denham knew the dangers of Red Lyrium. He murdered the Knight Vigilant and corrupted his brothers and sisters.
I recall the crime. It won't go unpunished.
I only did as I was told.
We found everything. The corpse of the Knight Vigilant, even papers proving you knew Red Lyrium was poison.
There is a greater power walking this world. I wasn't fool enough to deny it. None of you would have. I demand justice.
Then have it. Take him to the gallows.
You can't! Not after I survived this long. Don't you see?
Cassandra's calmed down. I think you can take your hand off your crossbow.
Define calm down for me in terms of who or what she's punching right now? I wasn't trying to keep secrets. I told the Inquisition everything that seemed important at the time.
You could have told us about Corypheus sooner.
I found out he was involved at exactly the same time you did. Until he showed up at Haven, I thought he was dead. Nothing we saw at the summit made me think he'd been there. I know I need to do better. I'm sorry. Corypheus is back. Oh, shit.
You said he was a Darkspawn, or a Magister. What is he really?
I'm not sure. I don't think Corypheus really knows either. He's definitely a Darkspawn, but when we found him, it was pretty obvious he hadn't heard that. He thinks he's a Magister, a priest of Dumat, in fact. He says he broke into the Golden City, like in the Chantry tale.
We'll talk to this warden friend of Hawk's and draft a plan to kill this Darkspawn.
We didn't just think Corypheus was dead. He was dead. No pulse, no breath, full of stab wounds. There wasn't a lot of room for doubt. It makes me wonder. I thought the wardens imprisoned Corypheus to use him. Maybe they did it because he can't be killed.
How did you and Hawk even wind up in a Grey Warden prison for ancient Darkspawn?
Corypheus sent people after Hawk. He actually got control of an entire Carta clan. Made them drink Darkspawn blood. Weird shit. We tracked the Carta to an old dwarven fort or something in the mountains. Of course, it turned out to be a trap. They needed Hawk's blood to open the locks holding Corypheus, and they drew us into the prison to get it.
There has to be a way to defeat Corypheus. We'll find it. Don't worry.
I hope you're right. Maker's breath, what have I let loose?
You had nothing to do with this, Varric.
I was the one who led Hawk to Corypheus. If I hadn't tracked the Carta to that ruin. But you've got more important things to do than listen to me worry. Just let me know when you want something shot.
Hello, Inquisitor. Honored Inquisitor. Gotzi Sturhald. Did my part on the walls, and now I'm on this strange collection you've brought us. Don't know its worth to the fight, exactly, but it's good workmanship.
Where did you learn your skills?
Orzammar. Carved a few statues in my day. And before you ask, yes, I chose to leave. I carved a paragon who turned out to be a sodding madwoman. Couldn't stand looking at it. The memory of a dwarf, right?
Any ideas about the origins of these reliefs?
To Vinter, early. It's in the tool marks, the grain. That's hard dust mined from the 100 Pillars, if I know anything. Oh, I suppose the scene is probably full of Tevinter robes, too.
The 100 Pillars?
Damnedest things. Massive spires that aren't stone. It's like a mortar. Don't know more than that. Strong, though.
Do you have insight into the stories these tiles are supposed to depict?
Tell you what. You finish one, and I'll write it up. Who better, right? A good dwarven perspective.
Another time.
Best of the vein, Inquisitor.
Need something?
What can you tell me about this Corypheus?
I'm not exactly an expert, but ask away and I'll answer what I can.
He looks like some sort of blighted creature, but he speaks. What is he exactly?
The wardens who imprisoned him thought he was just a darkspawn. But you heard him ranting. He claims he's a magister. One who assaulted the Golden City, what, more than 1,000 years ago? It seems crazy, but if he's telling the truth, he's one of the people who caused the blights.
You and Hawk both said before he was supposed to be dead.
He was dead, We killed him. The only way for us to escape the prison Corypheus was trapped in was to go through him. We weren't going to just leave the door to his prison open behind us and hope he was dead. We made sure.
How did you first encounter him?
A few years back, I was dealing with some trouble from a Carta clan that went rogue. They were sending assassins after the Hawk family. We tracked them to a rune in the Vimarks. It turned out to be a trap. Once you went far enough into the rune, there was a magic barrier that kept you from going back. The whole thing was a prison the Grey Wardens were using to hold what they thought was a powerful darkspawn.
I've never heard of Wardens locking up Darkspawn. Why wouldn't they just kill him and be done with it?
I don't think they could. From what we saw in there, Corypheus can control Wardens somehow. They couldn't attack him. The Wardens locked him up because there was nothing else they could do.
All right. I think that's enough about Corypheus.
No problem.
Inquisitor.
I'm interested in what you told me of yourself in your studies. If you have time, I'd like to hear more.
You continue to surprise me. All right, let us talk. Preferably somewhere more interesting than this.
Why here?
Haven is familiar. It will always be important to you.
We talked about that already.
I sat beside you while you slept, studying the anchor.
I wanted to know more about you.
This is about me. I ran every test I could imagine. Searched the Fade, yet found nothing. Cassandra suspected duplicity. She threatened to have me executed as an apostate if I didn't produce results.
I would never have agreed to that.
You were in no position to argue. You were never going to wake up? How could you? A mortal sent physically through the Fade. I was frustrated, frightened. The spirits I might have consulted had been driven away by the breach. Although I wished to help, I had no faith in Cassandra, or she in me. I was ready to flee.
If you'd run, Cassandra would have been certain of your guilt. She'd have hunted you down.
You are likely right. I told myself, one more attempt to seal the rifts. I tried and failed. No ordinary magic would affect them. I watched the rifts expand and grow, resigned myself to flee, and then... It seems you hold the key to our salvation. You had sealed it with a gesture. And right then, I felt the whole world change.
It was that impressive to see me awake.
You had walked in the Fade. I have explored the Fade more than anyone alive. But even I can only visit in dreams. But you You might have been able to visit me here while awake.
What do you mean?
Where do you think we were?
This isn't real.
That's a matter of debate. Probably best discussed after you...
Yes? I'd like to know more about you, Madame Vivienne.
Whatever would you like to know?
I'm curious how a circle mage winds up a courtier.
Nobody winds up at court, my dear. It takes a great deal of effort to arrive there. I caught the eye of Duke Bastien de Ghislaine, an advantageous connection that opened many doors. When the position of Enchanter to the Imperial Court became vacant, I was able to secure it.
You're married to the Duke de Ghislaine?
Of course not, my dear. Don't be ridiculous. Marriage is the business of alliance and inheritance. I'm Bastien's mistress.
And what does the Duchess de Ghislaine think of this arrangement?
We got along quite well. Duchess Nicoline and I used to host musical salons together. She was a great patron of the arts. She passed away from a fever a few years ago, the poor dear.
A request has been made of you, Inquisitor. Here it is.
What is your evaluation of how we're doing?
Adequate. Based on the partial improvements to Skyhold.
As you were?
Yes, Inquisitor.
So, I assume you're Talvershoth or something like.
Why would you assume that?
If you weren't, You would have split my skull open at our first meeting before I said a word. Centuries of warfare with the Canari do lead to this state of affairs.
You've encountered Kunari before?
Canari raids are rather old hat for anyone from the Eastern Imperium. Although the attacks aren't quite the rampaging wars of ages past. Now we're like two angry dowagers who only remember to spit at each other when they pass on the street.
Did you meet any Kunari personally?
None who weren't rushing towards me with a sword. I was too busy running in the other direction to say hello. I've met some Talbashot in my time, however. Mercenaries and a few merchants. They're not the same as Canari. Might easily be a different people altogether.
If only other people knew that.
It's a southerner thing. Most of them don't even know what a Canari looks like. Forgive their ignorance, O mighty one. They shall learn proper fear in time.
If you've no problem with me, I've no problem with you.
A philosophy I've learned to live by.
No issue with my being Inquisitor, then?
None that specifically involve you being so very, very large. No.
Good. I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathous. It's madness. All right, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
Corypheus is a figure out of Tevinter history. He was a magister.
Yes, but that was a different time. The Imperium's power was at its peak then. The Civil War had ended, the Magisterium was united, its armies scooping up bits of Thedas like candy. The Magisters who entered the Black City, it was a demonstration of how exceptional Tevinter had become.
But who were they?
No one knows. There's no record of a Magister named Corypheus. All this happened 1400 years ago, before the Blight nearly wiped us out. There are no records. Today, people half believe it's all just a story. That's what I believed.
We have evidence the story is very much real.
But not who Corypheus is, if he even remembers. There used to be families who claimed some of those Magisters as their own. That stopped when the Chantry appeared. Then it was shameful, and the families distanced themselves from the tale. All we know is that some men and women entered the Black City looking for the old gods. What did they find? According to Corypheus, nothing. And only he could tell us more.
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there? With its own divine.
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Let me ask you something else.
So many questions.
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
That's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion, too. Of course, what people call blood magic here and what we consider blood magic are two different things.
What's considered actual blood magic in Tevinter?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Real blood magic can give you an edge, a leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. And most of them probably innocent.
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a magister who makes noise. And then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I'd think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't, of course. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
I should go.
As you wish.
Did you need something?
Anything I should know?
I've agents stationed by the ruins of Haven, should Corypheus or his lackeys return. So far nothing, and the breach has been quiet for some time. There is something at least.
Let's talk about you.
Me?
Bards tell tales. I bet you tell some good ones.
There are plenty of tales in the library. Perhaps you should look for them there.
I should leave you to your work.
We can always talk later. Inquisitor, I must speak with you.
What is it?
I must explain something first about the Montillier's fortunes.
I remember you said your family had been forbidden from trading in Orlais.
It's devastated our finances. The Montillier's have, in fact, been in debt for over 100 years.
Debt or no, you appear to be surviving.
That isn't enough. A disaster could wipe us out completely. For generations, we've done everything to keep creditors at bay. Sold our lands to stave off interest. It is infuriating to see my family still reduced to this. I'm to become head of our house. If I sell any more of our land, my family will become destitute. That cannot be my legacy to them.
Most people worry about their next meal, never mind an estate.
I'm not blind, but I worry for my family. My foolish sister Yvette with her daydreams, my brothers trying to rebuild our fleet with their own hands. Is it wrong to hope they never know hardship?
Is there anything I can do?
I'd almost solved our problems. For a while. I negotiated a chance to reinstate the Montiliers as landed traders in Orlais. We could rebuild with that. But when I dispatched paperwork to Val Royeaux, I've just learned my carriers were murdered. And the documents restoring my family's trading status destroyed.
Do you have any idea who murdered them?
Leliana made inquiries that bore success. Comte Boisvert, a nobleman in Val Royeaux, claims to know who killed my messengers. He has a request that you come when I meet him, so he's seen publicly conferring with you.
What will being seen with me gain the Comte?
The Comte will drop hints at parties he's to meet with an important visitor. Allies and rivals will take note. Once he's met you, there will be speculation. The Comte will subtly spin reports to his advantage. He will use us. But if he knows who killed my people, I ask that we indulge him.
I hope the Comte isn't making up information just to be seen with me.
I will take full responsibility if that's the case, Inquisitor. I must know who killed my couriers just to harm my family. Yes?
You haven't really gone into detail about how you know Leliana.
We met... let me think. We met the last few years of my schooling, but we became friends after I became ambassador to Orlais. It seems terrifyingly long ago now.
How exactly did you and Leliana reconnect in the Inquisition?
I discovered my family had been overcharging a merchant we traded with for months. Our name carries a great deal of trust in Antiva. I spent weeks arranging a string of favors as suitable recompense. Apparently satisfied, the merchant extended me an invitation to her estate. Leliana greeted me in place of the merchant.
I assumed there was more to it than a strange way to say hello.
It was a test of sorts. Leliana claimed she needed someone of painful integrity for the Inquisition. I accepted, once she finally explained what it was.
Do you remain close?
Yes, but she's grown so much more distant than the outgoing woman I met in Val Royeaux. Leliana used to wander the Orlesian courts, singing the sweetest songs, charming the greatest wits. Now she collects secrets and takes risks that would make empires tremble. I worry, but she will not hear it.
Does Leliana confide in you?
She enjoys revisiting our more disastrous adventures. Leliana used to concoct the most ridiculous plans. Run if you ever see her with a twine ball, a measuring stick, and a handkerchief.
Who rules Antiva?
Officially, the Principality of Antiva is governed by His Majesty King Fugelno II. In reality, Antiva's merchant princes rule the country in everything but name. Quite loudly, I might add.
What sort of dealings did you have with these merchant families?
As ambassador, I attended Privy Council meetings in a mediatory capacity. May I just say, one has never heard an argument until they've sat in on 15 princes howling down each other's tariff suggestions.
I'd storm out of any meeting that came to that.
It would be fitting. Dramatic exits are always a favorite. It's all a part of life in Antiva. Our traditions value passion and romance. A certain exuberance of style.
Are you positive you're Antivan?
I can be most exuberant when it's called for. Just at the right moments, and in a proper fashion. Might we speak of something else?
What's the land like in Antiva?
The settled areas are quite lush. The vineyards run as far as the eye can see in some places. Antiva City, however, perches right up against the Rialto Bay. That's what I miss most. The sea crashing against the maze of the docks.
I have difficulty seeing you wandering around a trading port.
Everyone in Antiva City spends time by the ships, my lady. The finest restaurants and poets all make their habitation by the sea. The waterfront's never still. Lanterns are lit along the promenade no matter what the weather.
Let's speak later.
Farewell.
Law has
Lead.
asserted itself.
Well, how about that?
See? Not much better than the road, you ask me.
Another completed work of whatever they used to call it.
The worship.
Glad I'm working with you, I'm not one of them.
What, assassins?
Lady Inquisitor, Bonnie Sims at your service. I trust good secret was not your course. Now that you've come to some good fortune, you deserve an upgrade. As master of the tradesman, I stand ready to supply your every need.
How are you doing? Good business?
Building? Always building. Thanks to you.
Who or what are the tradesmen?
A following of sympathetic and profit-minded individuals who promote local craftsmen and fair importers. A guild of sorts. Although that implies counter-affiliations we are not interested in crossing. Our purpose in the Inquisition is legitimate and honorable. You will have what you need at honest prices.
What do you bring to the Inquisition?
What you need, and more. It takes great coordination to make a remote location seem central. While there is no doubt the boutiques of Valroyo display the grandest of the grand, they do not travel. At least, not yet.
Segrit survived Haven. Where is he?
About? Doing good work for you and yours? But this position is now more desirable. It was time arrangements were made. I shall make every effort to prove that this is an upgrade.
Why are you a mere merchant if you're the master of this group?
I wish to avoid the suggestion that I am a posturing commander atop a structure of malcontents. It is better to remain active, hands-on. Do you not agree, Inquisitor?
We'll speak another time.
Of course, Lady Inquisitor.
Inquisitor, you have come to the attention of the powerful, and I am the Surfaris at your service. You will find my wares unique.
Our mounts have never had better. Perhaps Master Dennett will join us now. A space like this needs an expert.
Your wish, my lady.
Varric's friend Hawk said there were suspicions of corruption in Grey Warden ranks. Do you know anything about that?
Corruption? What sort of corruption?
Corypheus. He's been known to influence the minds of wardens.
That could very well explain why so many have disappeared.
If this is true, then all wardens are in danger. Even you. We'd better find your brothers.
I agree. If Hawk's given you an idea where to start, we should get moving immediately.
How much do you know about Corypheus?
Not much. I always thought the stories of magisters corrupting the Golden City were just that. Stories. I didn't expect them to be true, and I certainly didn't expect to find one of them still alive.
Don't the Grey Wardens know everything about Darkspawn?
You don't have to know how a Darkspawn came to be in order to kill it. We're soldiers, not historians. And the world would be better off if people focused on defeating evil rather than explaining how it came to be.
Corypheus stopped being human a long time ago. Darkspawn don't have human lifespans, do they?
No, I suppose they don't. They're unnatural and sustained by evil. It's been thousands of years. You'd think the Wardens would have managed to kill the first Darkspawn by now.
Do you know if there are more Darkspawn like Corypheus?
I don't know. I'm not sure any Warden knows.
Let's discuss something else. What do you think of the Inquisition?
I think the entire world is looking over its shoulder.
wondering if the Inquisition's watching.
What do you think of my advisors?
Leliana seems nice. Also a little frightening, but mostly nice.
Does Leliana frighten you? Has she said anything to you?
No, she hasn't said anything. I'd just rather not offend her. I don't want to wake up with a blade in my kidneys if I can help it.
We should return to our duties.
As you wish. You are, after all, in charge.
First, a full wheel of Antivan smoked cheese, and now 3 royals worth of crushed mint. They were right here. I remember seeing someone take them. I can't recall their face.
There's no end of it. I can store an army.
Thank you for Haven and your efforts at Therenfall. I am committed to serve your worship.
There's a rumor that Corypheus is in league with elven forces.
Which would those be? The mighty standing army of that land they don't have?
You can't trust them.
I don't know. History says it's the other way around.
As leader of the Inquisition, there's something I must tell you.
Whatever it is, I'm willing to listen.
Right. Thank you. Lyrium grants Templars our abilities, but it controls us as well. Those cut off suffer. Some go mad, others die. We have secured a reliable source of lyrium for the Templars here. But I no longer take it.
You stopped?
When I joined the Inquisition. It's been months now.
Months? You didn't think to tell me this sooner?
Has it mattered?
I don't know. Has it?
After what happened in Kirkwall, I couldn't. I will not be bound to the Order, or that life any longer. Whatever the suffering, I accept it. But I would not put the Inquisition at risk. I've asked Cassandra to watch me. If my ability to lead is compromised, I will be relieved from duty.
Are you in pain?
I can endure it.
Cassandra takes things as seriously as you do. If she has no problem with this, neither do I.
I thought you had a right to know. The Inquisition's army must always take priority. Should anything happen, I will defer to Cassandra's judgment. Was there something you needed?
Is there anything I should know?
Repairs to Skyhold's fortifications are progressing. Our scouts report no immediate threats in the surrounding area. We are fortunate Solus knew of this place.
What do you think of the people you work with?
Who do you mean?
What do you think of our ambassador?
We have little in common. How she delights in meeting with nobles all day is beyond me. But I enjoy working with her.
How do you like working with Leliana?
The Inquisition would not exist without her. I may not always agree with her methods, but she's more passionate about our cause than anyone. Cassandra may have declared the Inquisition publicly, but Leliana is just as responsible for its formation.
Are you satisfied with the Inquisition's forces?
Our soldiers are well disciplined and committed to the cause. Therenfall's Templars are adjusting to life here. Their experience will prove useful against the Venatori.
I should let you get back to work.
Was there something you needed?
I'd like to know more about the Templars.
What would you like to know?
Why did you join the Order?
I could think of no better calling than to protect those in need. I used to beg the Templars as our local chantry to teach me. At first, they merely humored me, but I must have shown promise, or at least a willingness to learn. The Knight Captain spoke to my parents on my behalf. They agreed to send me for training. I was 13 when I left home.
13? That's still so young.
I wasn't the youngest there. Some children are promised to the Order at infancy. Still, I didn't take on full responsibilities until I was 18. The Order sees you trained and educated first.
What about your family? Did you miss them?
Of course, but there were many my age who felt the same. We learned to look out for one another.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Should you require anything, I'll be here.
Strangest thing, when I reached down, my dagger was gone. Just gone. Know where I found it? In a barrel. The thing was filled to the brim with daggers. Got the strangest feeling. I know someone took it right off my belt, but I can't recall who.
I'll keep an eye out.
What are you doing?
Listening. Eyes rough, jangling armor hurts my ears, back aching, fingers too clumsy for knots. Wind cool like Aunt Eloise's pond, lips scalded as I sip, warmth blossoms, first kiss in the barn, what was his name? Tin jangle as the blood spills, Pierre's wrapped body on the wagon to the chantry, 5 more minutes.
Can you listen to anyone's mind like you did hers?
No, they have to need me. Pain, fear, sadness, guilt.
I don't want to see her hurt.
She already is. I can help. It's okay. Nothing you did mattered.